even halfway into the NASCAR season. But for Kyle Busch and RCR, is it already do or die when it comes to this weekend at Talladega? Let's talk about it here on Stuck in the Catch Fence. What's going on, everyone? My name is Ryan. Thanks for joining Stuck in the Catch Fence. This time we're going to talk about my favorite driver and maybe not so much my favorite team. We're not even halfway through the season, and you're probably thinking maybe the panic bells are too strong. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I'm here to sound the alarm that right now, this weekend at Talladega, is a prove-it race, a do-or-die race for Kyle Busch and for RCR. I don't like to be the guy that I'm not trying to put clickbait out there. I'm not trying to do anything that's, just trying to get guys just to throw some shade at anything of that nature. I'm being realistic here when I say that if RCR doesn't prove anything this weekend, that we are going to see something, maybe the worst season in Kyle Busch's professional career. And I was one of the people, I actually predicted him to be in my Final Four this year. That looks absolutely like a terrible pick, a horrific pick. And I was basing it purely on the fact that with Kyle Busch coming into the company, RCR that is, and moving forward after winning 3 races last year, I thought using Kyle Busch's expertise, using this new dedication from Richard Childress to try to improve the next-gen car and what Kyle Busch could help lend his hand with that, I thought that we were going to see a lot better things when it comes to on-track performance. Boy, has that been wrong. We've seen our traditional short track package be worse, which if you're asking how could it be worse, it really is worse. It's that much worse. He was competitive at Daytona and Atlanta, which it's a super speedway race. I mean, you got to be competitive somewhere, I guess. But the thing that's bothering me the most, number one, I shouldn't maybe say the most, and maybe I shouldn't categorize it in a numerical order or chronological order, but Kyle Busch, one of the greatest short track drivers of all time, but Kyle Busch made hay at mile and a half. And last week, RCR mired in 30th place with Austin Dillon, mired in the backup car with Kyle Busch. There's just nothing there that just shows that this organization or team has any speed. And it's mind-blowing that a guy that talked about trying to tie Dale Earnhardt when it came to wins, that's trying to get his 3rd championship and really join the elite when it comes to having 3 championships. You look at it right now, how difficult it is to win consistently, let alone get 3 championships under the new format. We may not see that for a very, very long time. Obviously, the only one realistically that has an opportunity to do that is Joey Logano, since he's the only 2-time champion along with Kyle Busch currently running. But even Joey Logano looks really bad this year compared to what he has traditionally, especially when it comes to his teammates. But all that being said, we currently look at where Kyle Busch is, and that is 16th in the standings. And I know what you're saying, 16th is the last spot a person can be in based upon points. Never have I ever remembered in my life that Kyle Busch, going into where we are right now, into Talladega, in the middle of April, be this low. And I'm sure there's probably a situation where he has. But on top of it, we're not leading laps. We're not getting... We didn't get a lot of stage wins last year, but hardly getting anything remotely close to stage wins. We can't even get stage points, let alone stage wins. So the super speedway, it's almost like Kyle has to find his way. It's like we're running the same operation as Ricky Stenhouse now at RCR. The super speedway might be the only way that we get in. Think about that. Think about that. I mean, that puts Kyle Busch in the same vein as his teammate, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon probably was only going to get in if he won on a super speedway. Nobody would ever say the same about Kyle Busch in that same tone, in that same light of Ricky Stenhouse and him and Justin Haley. I mean, I honestly think that Todd Gilliland has just as good a chance to win this weekend as Kyle Busch. Never would I ever think I said that. But this is do or die. This is it. If you don't show speed here, what are you hanging your hat on? How are you going to get Kyle Busch a third championship? How are you going to get Austin Dillon out of 30th, who's currently 28th in the standings right now? A lot of it I don't think is Austin Dillon's fault. I think we see is an organization as a whole is not up to par. I mean, this is like Legacy Motor Club of last year. Stuart Haas has been more consistent. Something's got to give, man. Something's got to change immediately. And if it doesn't, then Kyle's got to change immediately. This career path that he is on right now at the end of his career, he ain't going to rack up wins doing this. RCR ain't going to get him to the promised land doing this. And it makes sense why a Kevin Harvick would not stay. A Tyler Reddick. I remember last year 2 years ago when Tyler Reddick said he was leaving. I was like, 23-11 seems like a lateral move. Smart. Justin Haley leaving college last year. That was one of the places Kyle Busch was rumored to go to. Justin Haley leaves it for Rick Ware Racing. Smart. Look at Justin Haley right now. Hell, he's up there competing at mile and a half more than Kyle is. Maybe Rick Ware Racing was the right move. Hell, I don't know. Well, I can tell you right now, this is bad. This is more than bad. This is destructive. This is watching a talented driver who still can compete at the highest level, but he cannot be better than the equipment he's in. He's done it his entire career, but with how hard it is to pass on the aero packages, as difficult as this car is to drive with no side force and a driving style where Kyle drives with his right rear tire versus his right front tire. And we've seen the same thing with Jimmy Johnson. We've heard the same thing with Chase Elliott, which he actually figured it out. It seems like a perfect formula for a disaster. And let's go back and remember what your initial thoughts were when Kyle Busch went to RCR. Was you excited? I think people that weren't Kyle Busch fans were excited to see him get into a bow tie car. But you, the Kyle Busch fan, were you excited? Was you pumped? Leaving Joe Gibbs, which by God, that looks awful right now, to go to RCR? Now, you kind of put that in the back burner a little bit once he won 3 races. But he won at Talladega. He ends up winning at WWT, did really, really good there. And he wins at Auto Club that's no longer on the schedule. I think there's a chance he could win at WWT. But, I mean, it's just as much a crapshoot to winning in the super speedways. And that right now is what we're hanging our hat on. We're pushing all of our chips all in on super speedways because we don't have any idea. And if you're a betting person, you're going to hedge your bet that he's not going to be fast anywhere else. And even if he makes up speed, guys, his pit crew's an utter disaster. Austin Dillon's pit crew, an utter disaster. They've already had to fire a crew chief or reassign, which in 2024 means he got fired. Are you panicking? Like, are the alarm bells going off for you? Well, I'm freaking out. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm freaking out. I feel like a guy that's trying to win for 20 consecutive seasons. That window's very, very, very small right now. And I hope that I'm wrong. I'll be the first one to get on here and tell you. my favorite driver, one of the greatest drivers of all time, career-wise, has put himself behind the 8 ball in the number 8 car, and I just don't know if there's any other option but scratch right now. It just feels that way. Never been here before as a Kyle Busch fan. I remember disappointing races were when he didn't lead laps and still got a top 5 or a top 10 or wrecked it trying to go for the win. On a 1.5 miles that he won the truck race on Friday, we had to stay out, pray for a caution, and strategize our way into a top 10 finish. That's not the Kyle Busch I know. But that's the RCR I know. Something's got to give. Is this going to be laughed at in a few months? Or are we all going to sit here and talk about, does Kyle really need to make a serious thought process of moving on to another team? I would hedge my bet on the latter versus the former. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Let's Talk About It. Let me know what your thoughts are. Am I overreacting? Is your panic level high? Is it low? You're a Kyle Busch fan. Do you care? If you're not a Kyle Busch fan, does him not being competitive change your view on how the sport is? To me, it seemed like the sport was at its best whenever somebody like a villain like Kyle Busch was relevant, and right now he is currently not relevant. So that's going to do it. If you want to catch us, we're on Facebook, Patreon, and Rumble, and we're also on Twitch now. So join us there for those live streams. Enjoy that as well. My name is Ryan Peters. This is Stuck in the Catch Fence. Let's hope Mother Nature holds off so we can have a race Sunday at Talladega. Outside of that, we'll catch you in the next video. God bless.